Hey, my name is Cheyenne. So we're in Jerome, Idaho. There's me, Ryan, our daughters, Audrey and Sue, and then our dog. Audrey is 9, almost 10, and Serenity is 8, almost 9. I grew up like 12 miles from here in Wendell. It was great, honestly. I was raised by my dad. He was a single dad, had everything I wanted. He worked hard, he provided for me. My mom was an addict, so my dad got sole custody when I was 2, and we moved to Idaho. My mom would create a lot of chaos on and off throughout the years. In 2006, my dad started having heart problems. So we moved to Oregon because they had better heart doctors. My dad has a daughter with another woman who's older than me, and we moved in with her. It was hard. My sister and I never really got along because I grew up with my dad and she grew up with her mom. Moving there and switching schools your freshman year of high school was hard. I think, trauma and trying to deal with that and then falling in with the wrong crowds at school, just the wrong people experimenting with the wrong things, and then you find something that numbs that pain, and that's where it started. Moving to Oregon, I was at an age where I was able to form a relationship with my mom. She was still an addict, and so that's kind of how our relationship formed, was using. It wasn't like the ideal relationship, but it was something. It was something. I think like a lot of it was, it filled that void of not having my mom for so long. I was experimenting, because when you first start, it's recreational. You use for fun and then you become dependent. And so at that point in my life, I was like 15. I don't think that I was becoming an addict, yeah. I remember I was at her house this one time and this guy knocked on the door and he wanted drugs, and my mom sold drugs, and she's like, I can't right now. And I remember him being upset, and she closed the door and I was like, I already know what he wants. I was like, you might as well just do it. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I know that you're selling drugs. I know that you're doing drugs. And she's like, how do you know? I was like, Mom, I use drugs. It's obvious. Like, I know, I can see the signs. And we just kind of laughed about it. But I think that was like the first time I told her, I was like, I'm not stupid. And then it was a different playing level. Living in state with my dad, I was using drugs on and off from 15 till, well, forever. But so my dad would kick me out and I'd be homeless, bouncing around. And then I met the girls' dad, and we started dating and using together. It was really toxic from the very beginning. I got pregnant after 2 months, and then I had Audrey. Being an addict, because by then at 19 I was a full-blown addict, using every day. So like I got pregnant with her and I almost felt saved in a sense, because if it weren't for her I probably wouldn't be here. And so I quit cold turkey, I quit using. I was sober my entire pregnancy with Audrey, and I thought like, hey, like this is it, we can like parent sober and like we can be parents. Unfortunately, her dad used my entire pregnancy, and after we had Audrey, he made this fancy dinner, and I thought it was like, oh, like super romantic, and then he was like, hey, let's get high, and he's like, it's just one time, and then from there, it unraveled again. We got pregnant with Serenity. Unfortunately with Sue, I was already like, I hated life. I hated living with him. I hated being with him. I was so unhappy and miserable and like trying to find a way out. Every time that I would try and leave, it was, baby, I'm sorry, I'll change, I'll do better, and you just remain hopeful. Every time I would leave, I'd go right back. With Sue, I debated abortion a lot of my pregnancy, like all the way through. Unfortunately, with her, he didn't stop using either, and so at that point, already being so unhappy, I was like, if you're gonna use in my house, then I'm using too. Like And so I used my whole pregnancy with Sue. I don't know how. God is how, because I don't know how she didn't test dirty when she was born, but she didn't. It's a miracle, because there's no explanation. 6 months after she was born, I finally left. I got the nerve to leave him for good. And that was the best thing that ever happened, in a sense. No, it was the starter to the best thing. I actually called family for help before DHS ever got involved. It was like my first real cry for help. I think I was like silently crying inside all the time. I knew that I couldn't physically take care of my kids. Something was wrong. So I called their dad's family and was like, please come get them. I need help. I was like, I need help. And then my dad took me to the hospital and made me stay with him. And he was like, this is it. You're getting clean. This is the end of it. He's like, and you need to get your kids back. So I got the girls back from them. At that point, DHS had kind of like stepped in. They were like wanting to take the girls. I was like, the girls are gone. They're with family. So they did a 10-day protective hold. And I spent that Mother's Day alone and like being freshly sober. Honestly, I went and used. I get them back from that 10 days. Me and my dad get in a fight. My dad was drinking a lot at that time. And so we got in a fight, and I didn't have my apartment. I had lost my apartment by then, and I was living with my dad. And so me and the girls jetted to Salem. And I went and stayed with my cousin, Margaret. And then the girls' dad showed up and was like, had filed taxes and claimed us all fraudulently, and was like, I'll get you into a place, we'll get blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, whatever. And one thing led to another, and then the his family came and got the girls from us at a hotel in Albany. And Shane and I were coming down one day in Salem, and it was like really early in the morning, and he was like yelling at me. And this old lady, bless her heart, this old lady with her dog, walking her dog, heard and called the cops. And they showed up, and he ran, and they ran my name, and they're like, you know that DHS is trying to get a hold of you, right? Yeah, we have custody of your kids. They're gonna stay with blah, blah, blah for now, and which was family. And we need you to come to court. And so then I had a court date, and that's where all of that started. It was terrifying knowing that my children were going into a home where I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what to expect. You know, these people have your kids, and you don't know who they are or anything about them, and you don't really get to see them at visits. Like, your kids are already in a room when you get to that visit.
Actually, when we got into foster care, we were in the process of adopting internationally, and it was taking a long time. And so somebody came to me one day and just handed me an application for foster care and said, we need families. I told them you would do it. And so that's really how we got into foster care. I called Zach. I was like, looks like we're doing foster care. I'll go ahead and fill out the application. And Zach was like, sure. Originally, I just really felt like there were kids within our own community that were in a place in their lives that needed families to step up, whether just for a short term or for long term. And so that was my initial goal for doing foster care, is just knowing that children needed families. As we did foster care, my goal kind of changed, and it progressed into having relationships with the birth moms and the families of the kids. And that's really actually what really tugged on my heart during our foster care journey.
There was one time, it was Audrey's birthday, and Emily was actually at the visit, and Ryan had actually bought Audrey a birthday present, and so we were giving it to her, and I had like this cupcake for Audrey, and like we sang happy birthday together, and my sister was there, and so, and Emily was like, we're here for you, you know, we're cheering you on, and we're praying for you, and I was like, okay. I was like, that means something, because like coming from a stranger that has your children, you know, my thought was they're looking at me like, oh, she's an addict, you know, like, is she ever gonna get it together? And so to know that like someone was cheering me on that I didn't know was pretty awesome.
My name is Carissa, and I've been doing foster care for about 6 years. We decided to do foster care mostly for kind of like a family reason. We needed to possibly be a resource for a family member. That didn't happen. So then we just decided, you know what, we know too much. So we kind of just finished our certification and then we became certified. Emily had them, but Emily had a lot going on and we didn't have a placement. And so I was like, we can take them. And she was like, okay, perfect. So then we took them and then we kind of all just like together, like Emily was a huge support for us because we at that point were kind of newer to foster care and we had just taken on 2 little girls and I knew nothing about having little girls. So Emily was a great support for us and then we kind of all just loved on her together, which was actually really hard at first. Not because of her, but mostly because of, me, I guess, kind of like, I know I'm a broken, busted person, but it's really hard to kind of go back to that and love a broken, busted person sometimes when it's more like in your face.
Honestly, I had my own issues and I was like, oh, she's better than me because like she was just put together, she looked really young. And I was like, who is this woman? I was like, this woman has my kids and like they were calling her mom and it like really hurt me. And I was like, it was not like, it wasn't ideal at first. I was like, who in the heck is this woman that my kids are calling mom and they're calling me Cheyenne? But then Carissa got so vulnerable with me. It was, I think a pickup or a drop off at the park. I think it was a pickup. And she kind of just gave me like a little bit of history and backstory of her and Aaron and their family and like, just, it was so relatable.
I just was super open with her about like my past and things that I have gone through and how they were really similar to her.
We both sat there and we both bawled, and I think like that was mine and Carissa's really like bonding moment. And then from there on, I was just like, okay, I need to be more like this woman. Like she can help me.
And the door just kind of opened for us to have a relationship with her and help that plan for the girls to go home work.
But you don't think you really have people supporting you and praying for you, and like you're not even praying for yourself in the depths of it. So to know that people you don't know are praying for you and your kids is pretty awesome.
Tap that, hit play, and watch that. It's about 2 seconds of just a blind things.
Oh my gosh, are you making me cry? I'm gonna cry before I even watch it. Okay.
Emily, thank you for being for me. Carissa, that day at the park when I don't even remember if it was a drop off or a pickup, but I remember when there was just tension. There was so much tension, and I think a lot of that was me thinking that you thought you were better than me, or all those self-doubt thoughts that I had. Thank you for letting me know on Audrey's birthday in that visit that you guys are voting for me and praying for me and supporting me and really showing me that not everyone in the foster care system is the same. But when we were sitting on that park bench and you told me like your story and Aaron's story and just a little bit of like backstory on your family, it gave me so much hope. And I'm like forever, I'm gonna cry. I'm forever grateful that the girls had you and that I have you in our lives. Okay, I don't wanna cry. Without you guys, like I probably wouldn't be here today with my girls. We love you and we cherish every single moment that you took with them and with me. Carissa, thank you for being vulnerable with me. Thank you for opening up and sharing your story and your family's story with me, giving me the hope to be the mom that I am today for the girls. We love you.
Thank you. I had no idea you were gonna do that to me. Probably didn't get all my sniffling.
I feel like if God is nudging you in a way, that it is 100% worth it. Do I think that every family should be a foster family or a resource family? I don't know. But I do think there's a place for everyone. to participate in foster care, and that hands down, you will not regret it. It may be hard and it may be long, but you will not regret it.
Just now knowing Jesus and then kind of putting it into play, like these children and what they're going through and what they've had to go through, it's kind of like, how do we not do it? I know a lot of people say like, oh, it's not for everyone, but I'm like, how can it not be? If you love Jesus and you're not doing foster care, you're not somehow doing something related to that, then I don't get it.
I think it was everything, because the girls had gone to church with Zach and Emily and Aaron and Carissa, and they had already like bonded and formed relationships with people within the church, and people in the church kind of knew my story a little bit through Aaron and Carissa and Zach and Emily, and so like seeing or going to a church where they knew them and then now I'm in the picture, it was really cool to know that like a whole church was supporting us the whole time.